Toyota's RAV4 has been an enormous success for the brand, and I think that this new generation will follow in the footsteps of the previous model. My name is Peter, this is an Autofuel video, and the RAV4 is perhaps partly brand defining because it is such a real Toyota product. And it's a car that can do basically anything. Towing, partly off-road, cruising on the highway, basically anything you throw at it. And now only available in plug-in hybrid here in the Netherlands, so you also get that benefit of partly electric driving and still have the range for the combustion engine. In this video we're going to have a look together what's what this new generation offers, and if it is still the one to get. Starting off with a little tour on the outside, very much in line with the current Toyota design language. I quite like it. It is a nice and angular car. Not aggressive looking, but certainly not such a uniform droplet shape like all the Teslas and Xpengs of this world that have all been through the same wind tunnel. I quite like it. We have the daytime running lights here. The headlights are there, the main beams, and over here we have the fog lights also with LED. But especially here on the side it looks quite nice with the black wheels and then the black here on the bottom and then the black mirrors and black on the top. I think it looks quite nice. This side profile especially makes it look big, and it is a big car, 4.80 m, so you know, lots of space, big wheelbase, big space inside, as we'll see in a bit. It's not so in your face as a Range Rover or something. It's still a little bit understated because that's typical Toyota, but it's a nice looking car. I'm really a big fan of this. Let me know in the comments below how you guys feel and if you would get it in this color scheme or not. Here in the rear, nice tail lights with the RAV4 logo here in the middle, and quite a large rear window, as you can see. And that's actually something to note. You know, a lot of modern cars have smaller and smaller rear windows, and they use digital mirrors or something to have some kind of view out. Here, big window, also with a big wiper. A big sort of stand-up window to give you an excellent view out. And that's something we'll see on the inside as well. There's a lot of glass and a lot of light on the inside for a great view out. Making this a fantastic car for traveling, of course, long distance. Because then you want that comfort of being able to see where you're going, which really adds to that sort of relaxed travel experience. Also to note, you can see the spoiler here. That is actually sticking out quite far over the window. So even when you're standing at a traffic light and it's raining, your window doesn't get that wet. Also nice. Now that travel experience obviously also depends on how much stuff you can take. And no problems as far as that goes in this RAV4. It's already a big car. That also means you have big cargo space, and if you put this up you can see what a vast gaping hole we have here. Obviously we have a charging cable here to charge the battery if you want, because it's a plug-in hybrid, but you can also put that down here, I think, with a bit of stuffing, but should be fine. So yeah, you're not short for space here, and you can basically take anything anywhere. And you really can. I took this car to Germany with my family and almost a week worth of luggage inside. So, you know, stacked all the way up to the parcel shelf. And even if you need to take more and you take the parcel shelf out, you can stack all the way to the roof. Moving boxes, 2 washing machines and a mountain bike, no problem. And that gives you a bit of a sense of the versatility of this car already. It is really a car that can do it all. Small point of criticism is that there's no handle or anything in here. You always have to grab it here, which is a bit, yeah, not necessary, I think, because, you know, this is going to get dirty over time from your fatty fingers. So it would have been nice to have some kind of grab handle here, because now you always have to pinch it with your finger. All around though, I think the design works really well for this car. It sort of hides its size a little bit, but in general, there's no getting away from the fact that it is a big, chunky vehicle. But all around, I think Toyota has done quite a good job here. Now here on the front, we have the charging port over here for your battery charging. You can charge here, obviously, 11 kilowatts at home, and you can fast charge with 50 kilowatts. And you're thinking 50 kilowatts fast charging, that doesn't sound too impressive. No, it isn't, but don't forget that this is a plug-in hybrid. And for a plug-in hybrid, that's actually really fast. This car has slightly less than 20 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. So with 50 kilowatt hours, you're up and running basically in 20 minutes. So that is really good and also makes this really usable. Add to that you have a little over 100 kilometers of real world range. That makes this car super versatile in terms of how you deploy it. You can do your daily commute fully electric, basically, you know, most of the time. And if you want to use that distance, or if you don't have the option to charge in between, you can still use the combustion engine, which is of course the strength of a plug-in hybrid system. Here on the left we have the fuel there, the fuel filler cap, and you can obviously fill this up at any gas station with a combined range of about 1,000 kilometers. So again, that makes this car so versatile in how you deploy it. You can put your caravan behind it, drive all the way to France, fill up once, no problem. And then when you're back home or when you're at your destination, you can just drive fully electric. Super nice and super flexible in terms of deployment. As you're used to, of course, a tour through the cockpit of this RAV4, and I have to say it is a very nice place to be from the moment I sat down. There's cars that I get into, it takes a bit of getting used to, and you know, everything is fine. And there's cars where you get in and you're like, this makes sense. This has been thought through properly and I feel at home right away. And that was the case in this RAV4. There's a few examples why that is the case, but we'll get to that in order. The first thing you notice in here that it is very Toyota. If you come out of any other Toyota product, you instantly recognize everything around you here. What I really like is that Toyota never really jumped on the touchy swipey capacitive bandwagon and has stuck with mostly buttons operation everywhere. And that's the same here. So I got window switches, I got buttons on the steering wheel, I got real buttons for my driving modes and my terrain modes, hill descent control button, camera view buttons, everything buttons. The Klima is mostly manually operated and everything just works the way you expect it to work and is in a position where you expect it to be. And that's an important thing to note, that is not easy to do. It is not like you can show up on a Monday and start slapping buttons everywhere. It has to make some kind of sense. And Toyota has that down to a science, I think. Everything in here makes a lot of sense. And that was exactly what happened when I picked this car up. I sat down, I put my teacup in there, selected my driving mode, selected my hybrid setting, hit the button for the camera so I could get out of the parking garage. It was instantly familiar and instantly comfortable. And that is a very hard thing to do, and also is a testament to how well Toyota does that. If you do the tour starting here on the left with those window switches, we got some seat memory switches here on the door as well. And a door handle that is a little bit like sticking your hand in a box. If for some reason it's closed off here on the back, and this little bit is like a little hand box. Not really sure what that's for, and I think it's also going to be problematic to clean. Because this is of course a place that will get dirty or fatty from your fingers in there. Maybe some crumbs will fall in there for some reason, and I think that is a bit annoying to clean in the long run. But okay, it is what it is. We got a decent door bin here where you can put a big bottle in the front, and the rest is just hard plastic, so you will have some rattles there, but it is very usable. We got some buttons down here for the fuel filler cap. We got a tailgate opening button there as well, and a normal circular steering wheel. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a triangular shaped hexagon, it is just a circle. Excellent. Left, I got buttons for my system controls. Right, I got all my cruise control settings, and then I got some flippers behind the steering wheel, flanked by some normal stalks, with my lights and blinkers on the left and all my wiper settings on the right. And then on top we have a sensor bundle for my driver alertness sensors and everything. You can turn those off, which is a good thing because they're quite sensitive. I noticed a few times that even when I'm coming up to a roundabout, for example, and I'm already looking out of the window ahead, then it gets angry that I'm not paying attention and I have to start looking forward again. So there's that. We have the driver's display through the steering wheel and a head-up display in this version above, which is a nice straight line for me to get the information that I want. Very bright head-up display actually, that I can actually see with sunglasses on. I almost always drive with sunglasses on during the day, and a lot of head-up displays are not bright enough or are working in a certain way that you can't see it, especially with polarized sunglasses. But no issue here. The driver's display is important to mention. There is a lot of information there in typical Toyota fashion, but it is not too overwhelming because the display is quite big and it's organizable in a reasonable way for you as the driver. So you can always put there what you want, which is nice. And all the driving aids, so your lane departure, your traffic sign recognition and so on, are not in this display anymore. Really in all the previous generation Toyotas, it's all in the display and you have to mess around with this little joystick through a whole list of 3-letter acronyms to turn off what you want off, which is annoying at the best of times, but they've moved that to the central screen here in the modern Toyota way. So that is much nicer, much easier, just tapping away gets the job done. So that is good. To stick with the screen in the middle, it is nice and big, straight on the dashboard, so also your passenger can see it really well. But there is still quite the border around it. I'm not really sure if that's still necessary in 2026. But okay, it is what it is. The Toyota software is relatively easy and also not very deep. It's never that you have to go through 6 layers and to end up in some setting that you're looking for. So things like navigation, music, phone, and your hybrid system, it is a bit more extensive than it used to be. And of course, there's more in it than in a box standard Toyota Yaris, for example. But it is quite nice that you can go through it quite easily. It's all big letters, quite easy to see, and it's fast enough. It's no Chinese system, but works very well. There is a permanent bar underneath with some of your Klima settings combined with some physical Klima buttons, and that hasn't worked out really well as far as I'm concerned, because things like the temperature you want to do with a button, because that's just easier and quicker. Great, you use those all the time, but then your air speed is a software button in that screen right above the volume button. I'm not really sure who made those decisions, because that's also a button that you constantly use, and now you still have to aim for it at the screen. So I would have preferred to see those maybe here on the side. There's space for it, so why not? Or something programmable maybe by me as the driver, because that's something I've only seen with Peugeot with the tiles that they have. Not really sure about that combination, but it is at least nice to have some physical controls, I suppose. Physical controls for the air direction as well, here and on the sides too, so that is really, really nice. That is the way you want it to be. No discussions with your dashboard about where the air needs to go. That's all way too complicated. This is the way you want it. What is also the way you want it is the entire middle tunnel. Very nicely done with your driving modes and your hybrid settings on a big stalk here. Then you got your terrain modes right here on the right. In between there's 2 shelves for your phone. One of them is your wireless charging, the other one isn't, but you have 2 15-watt wired chargers over here, together with your hill descent and your traction control button. So this car is certainly capable of some off-roading if you want to. You can also use the camera view here, so you can see what is happening around your vehicle. 2 cup holders that are adaptive, and your E-shifter here with your P and your driving direction, your parking brake, and also your auto hold button. So that is all very nicely done. It's nice and chunky, no shiny piano plastic except for around the shifter, but that's the only place that I've seen any piano black in here, so that is good too. Then we have the armrest, opens both ways, which is always nice, but also comes out completely and then creates a little table. With edges, as you can see. So if you're I always have food with me when I'm on the go, and I often eat in the car, then I can just use this as my little table, so I'm not spilling all over myself. And that's nice. That's it's a simple feature, but it's quite handy to have this, or to quickly write something down. No, I quite like this. This is an interesting solution to actual real world use. Now you have obviously noticed the amount of grayness in here. I'm even dressed in gray, and it is not too dark, so it doesn't get claustrophobic, but there is basically only different variants of gray in here. Thanks to the panoramic roof, we have a lot of light, so that is good. Also, the windows are quite large, so there's a lot of light coming in, easy to see out, so that is quite pleasant. And overall, I feel quite at home here, especially because I fit in the seats. If you've seen the previous video of the Renault Clio, I'm just too broad-shouldered for the seat, and especially my back here doesn't fit in those seats, but these here are excellent. I have enough support, I fit in them, I can actually move around without having to sort of sit semi-sideways and fit in the chair. So that is well done. These are also 19-volt electrically adjustable, lumbar support, the whole thing, and with that seat memory you always have the right one for you. We can also operate the panoramic roof. Actually, we have 2 buttons, one for the slider that covers it up when it's too sunny outside, and one to actually open the roof. It has a little tilt mechanism, so you can actually get some fresh air there when you're not going too fast, because if you do that at high speed, it will get very noisy very quickly. All around, I'm a big fan of this cabin. It's simple but sophisticated at the same time. Everything does what you think it will do and is also where you think it will be. Like I said, I felt at home instantly here. And when I picked this car, before I arrived home, I knew how everything worked. So that is nice, and it's very hard to understate how important that is and how difficult it is to achieve that as a car maker. But I think Toyota has done a great job here. Now, of course, we can always complain about something like that door handle here. It's like, I would have personally designed that a little different, but okay. And there's maybe a few plastics here that we can ask questions about. But then again, it's not a 200,000 euro Bentley or anything. So, But yeah, all around, very nice place to be, very well done up front here. Of course, a little bit of driving in this RAV4 as well. Currently on the highway, using the electric part of the hybrid system, which is, I think, a good place to start when it comes to driving, because of course the hybrid, plug-in hybrid powertrain is a big part of the experience of this vehicle. I mentioned I am on the electric part of the powertrain now. I have everything put in automatic, meaning that the car figures out what the most efficient way of transportation is at the moment. I'm doing 100 kilometers an hour. I'm not asking any serious performance, so the electric powertrain is more than fine. And it's important to note that with more than 100 kilometers of range in this less than 20 kilowatt hour battery, you can do driving like this on the highway fully electric, no issues. I'm doing 20.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers now, the car says. So, you know, that's fine in terms of usability, and also shows that you can really do proper distance here at speed as well. Having it in full auto means that the car figures it out. I can adjust that if I want to. I can go to hybrid, then it switches actually to the combustion engine, and I can also push it and it will stay in EV until the battery is done. But most of the time in the week that I've had this car, I've had it on auto and the car just figured it out for me. Now when I test these cars, I of course pay close attention to everything from the wind noise to the way the brakes work. And I have to say that the switches in the powertrain between combustion, electric and back to combustion are very minimal, like barely noticeable. I mean, of course I notice them because I'm specifically paying attention to it, but if you have this car for more than a week, that will completely be reduced to background noise and you'll never know what the car is doing. And that makes it really relaxed and usable, that the car figures everything out for you and you can trust it to be there when you need it and still be efficient when you're not thinking about it. And that's really, really nice. You can, of course, with that button, for example, prepare for an environment zone, or if you have to do something around your house, you're like, no, I want that electric, I want to keep the range, I want to switch back to combustion. You can do that and that's all fine. But I think 99% of the time you'll be in automatic and leave it there. When I press the drive mode button, I can go from normal to eco to sport to individual, and there you can adjust a few things in terms of how you want the car to be set up. I wouldn't bother with that too much. Standard is fine. I think if you want to go hypermiling on eco, I guess you can, but you know, the car is so efficient as it is already. Even when you run out of battery, it just functions as a normal Toyota hybrid, which is of course already good in terms of fuel economy. I mentioned the 20.8 for the electric system. When you drive on the combustion engine with an empty battery, you're looking around 6 liters per 100 kilometers. So that is also pretty good for a car this size and this weight. Because don't forget that this car already weighs over 2 tons without me in it. If I throw myself, my family and some luggage in it, you're pushing 2,400 kilos easily. So it's not a lightweight vehicle, which is actually not that good for the tax situation here in the Netherlands, but that's beside the point. Now, next to the drivetrain, I also have some terrain buttons. I can go from trail to snow to normal. So if you want to do something slightly more challenging off-road, this car is certainly capable. It is high on its wheels, so you do have some ground clearance there. And you can really think of anything from a slippery boat ramp to forest trails to some snowy circumstances. This car can handle it all, and it's basically only really limited by its tires. That's something, you know, to be said for most Toyotas these days, especially if you look at the BZ4X, for example, BZ4X Touring. Those cars really have capability. And you don't even have to go for, you know, the full hardcore off-road machines like a Hilux or a Land Cruiser. This car will already get you there 85% of the way. Then the rear seats of this RAV4, and they do not disappoint. This is of course obviously a vehicle you're going to drive with a family, and as far as that goes, it's almost perfect back here. There's so much space, as you can see, even for somebody my size, 183 and 100 kilos, plenty of room to move about here. And again, Toyota is good at nailing the basics, and they've certainly done that back here too. So the back of the front seat is soft. So even if you're bigger or taller than me, which is, you know, certainly possible, if you're touching the seat with your knees, it's not uncomfortable. So that is great. The same goes for the seats. You can see there is a bit of contour in here to make it an actual seat, but somebody my size actually fits in them. So I don't have to sit sideways, just like the front seats, which happens often to me when I sit and try out rear seats. Not the case here. I fit, I can be comfortable here. Now there is a small transmission tunnel here, but it's about this high, so it doesn't really impact the seatability of this middle seat. And the center console from the front doesn't protrude too far rearwards, so I can actually move my feet around flat over the whole width of the car. So that's excellent. And it's not like I have to do yoga back here, obviously, but the fact that I can just move my feet without having to twist them this way, it adds so much usability for the rear seats. My kids are 12 and 9, and they haven't had a single moment back here where it got uncomfortable or they started complaining or anything. And I think that's a real testament to how comfortable it is back here. That comfort is also aided by the amount of light available. The windows are big. There's a huge opening between the front seats, and there's a lot of information coming from the front. So that connection to the front is really well established and stays that way too, even when it gets dark. Also with the panoramic roof, even more light, and it just adds to the whole sort of breathability and livability back here. And the fact that the contact and the connection to the front is so good also makes it easier for the rear passengers to live and exist here. That is further aided by the seats that are not super huge or massive or high. Often seats are quite high, and then I'm already looking into the shoulder of the seat. And kids that are of course a bit shorter than me will have an even bigger issue, and then you feel like you're tucked away back here. Absolutely not the case back here. I can easily see past the seats on both sides and even look out the front windows on the side. So that is excellent. We got a few basic toys here. We got window controls, we got a seat pocket, we got 2 USB-Cs for charging, and we got 2 separate vents for air direction and air flow, but not temperature. So you can only adjust that in the front. The center armrest is of course there, and it has the standard non-adjustable cup holders, so nothing to write home about there, but it's there. And there's no ski hatch for any throughput. If you want that, you got to put the bench down completely. So that is the rear seat. Nothing really to complain about. All the fundamentals are covered. The materials are the same as in the front, so that's fine. And all around, I think this is a great place to be. And that is maybe the general theme of this RAV4, is that the breadth of capabilities is so wide. You can pull your caravan, you can transport your whole family, you can help somebody move, take it off-road, pull a horse box onto a muddy slope, no problem. So there's so much you can do with this vehicle, and that makes it really versatile in terms of how you deploy it. Play with the powertrain a bit and you have all the comfort in driving long distance, and you can still drive fully electric in and around your house. It's so nice that you have all these options in one package. And I think, of course, we can debate the styling. I can imagine you don't like it at all. You want more of a Tesla droplet shape. Fine, then this is maybe not for you, but I think it's quite a good looking vehicle on the outside. And then also in here, it's everything you want is here, from modern technology in terms of the screens and the interaction, still have analog buttons and things to push and move around. It's very, very complete and compelling. And that's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know how you guys feel about this generation of RAV4 and how you would deploy it, maybe as a family car, maybe as a leisure vehicle or something in between. Write it up. I am keen to read how you guys see that. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. A sub to the channel, of course, is always appreciated. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.